Yeah, Weege Show, taco show. Thanks, thank you guys. Yeah, no, I got jerky. Yeah, we got tacos too, dude. We got tacos. Yeah, but I really thought you were gonna give me a beef jerky taco, and now that I have the idea, I'm gonna do that myself. You want
have them next week for you.
Okay, yes, I want a beef jerky taco. Forget this chicken. Come on, man. We're wrapping it up here. That was our Twisted Tea Best Post Show. Took place over there. Check that out on Racer X. Huge shout out to my buddy John Knowles for sending me sunglasses from Scott, because the California sunshine is out for really the first time today. Last time we were here at Fox Raceway at Pala, I mean, we were talking, what, 110 degrees or something like that. It was insane. Here it was relatively mild. As you can tell, I run a very loose program since I'm just walking around the pit with a taco. I didn't even bring a hoodie or a sweatshirt or anything warm. I've been freezing all weekend because it's been like 68 degrees at best and cold in the morning. Wow. Southern California, I guess you never know. I guess you never know. What are we gonna get? Rain here? I think they actually did have a lot of that pretty recently. The real story here, now look, the Weege pre-race show that we did on Thursday is brought to you by Honda, but it almost feels like this one is because the race today was brought to you and dominated by Honda, winning both classes courtesy of the Lawrence brothers. So you think it was domination to see the Lawrences go 1-2 in the 250 class? How about winning both classes on the same day? We might see a lot of that. Just keeps rolling, buddy. Just keeps rolling. Soak it up when you got it, right?
Yeah, because it doesn't last forever.
It doesn't last forever. That is Shane Drew over there and the crew chief for Honda. They do win both classes. We had a couple questions coming into this season. This is all brought to you, of course, by Racetech and their fabulous gold valves. Your suspension will be plusher, better bottom resistance, more traction, made and engineered in the USA. I'll get into racing in a moment, but here's something that has always blown my mind when I come out here to Southern California. Do you see these mountains right here? You see these mountains? Do you see these mountains where you live? Maybe a few of you do. A lot of you don't. It is weird when I come to what they call the, I don't know if this is the Inland Empire, but it's certainly inland of the coast of California. It's like a lot of motocross people who have to come out here and live here for racing purposes or industry purposes. They live in the Inland Empire. Hey, I know it's not as cool as living at Newport Beach or Laguna or Laguna Niguel or Noobs, Huntington, all those cool places. Maybe it's not as cool as living in downtown San Diego, but I hear a lot of people that live here in the middle of the country be like, I can't wait to get out of California. Look at that. Look at that. It's not bad. Now, it's extra green right now because all the rain they've had, but it doesn't look like a bad place to be for me. Now, as far as the racetrack is concerned, a lot of the riders said it did feel different than what they've seen here at Pala Past, and that leads us into our race coverage. Chase Sexton has been very good at this track in the past. Jett Lawrence has been unbeatable at this track in the past, but it was not the same Chase Sexton today. He said some days you wake up and you feel good. Some days you wake up and it just feels like it's gonna be one of those days, and then he was right because he crashed in practice. First moto was looking not good early in the first moto. Second half of the moto, he definitely put it together and rode better. But in the meantime, Jett Lawrence was gone. And I'm just gonna be straight up here. I was honestly worried. You know, I'm not here to root for any certain riders. That's your job as fans back home. You can pick your favorite. You can have the guy you want to see win or have the guy you don't want to see win. But I think we're all fans of great racing, and I'm like, man, if it keeps going like this, 2.5 seconds faster in practice, whole shots looking just incredible on a 450, are we in for a dominant run? And although Chase Sexton, Dylan Ferrandis, a couple riders here are no slouches, remember, if you start combing through the Rolodex of who can stop this, well, we're missing like half the guys that could. Certainly the dynamic today would be a lot different, for example, if Eli Tomac were here, but he's not. Talk to the Yamaha folks, they hope maybe November 1st he gets back on a motorcycle. That's probably the best case scenario. So we're not gonna see Eli for a while. I hope at some point we get him back for maybe 2024 Supercross, something like that. But you could quickly see a scenario unfolding where you're like, whoa, this Jett train is gonna be hard to stop. So for the purposes of exciting, we don't know what's gonna win racing, the second moto was a bit of a relief that Sexton was a whole lot better again and kept the heat on. Wasn't able to pass him, wasn't able to show him a wheel, but it was certainly a, which way is this gonna go moto, which is always fun to see. But you cannot deny what the Lawrence brothers have done. I feel like they've got like a 95% approval rating. I mean, look, people are buying donuts at the Supercross races. They're making Jett signs. There's certainly plenty of Jett merchandise being purchased. People love the Lawrence brothers. I do know there was also a chorus of people who are like, oh man, We hear about the Lawrence brothers all the time. I do not want that small sector, that small segment of people that have that opinion to prevent us from praising what is one of the most phenomenal success stories that we've seen in this sport. To my point, we now have had brothers win both classes on the same day for the first time in the 51-year history of this series. Do you hear that? That is phenomenal. That is unbelievable. I gotta praise it because they earned the praise. What's that song that is 25 years old now, I think, by Fat Boy Slim? I got to praise you like I should. I mean, I should. Take it, boys. The Lawrence brothers swept both classes, and Honda, to Shane Drew's point, the good days, well, I don't want to say the good times, let the good times roll, but the good days keep rolling for Honda because they're coming off a Supercross title where they won all three, and they're going to leave here at red plates in both classes, just like they had them in all the classes in Supercross. But it's early, and that leads to the ultimate discussion we have at round one every time. Do you underreact or do you overreact? When you see Eli Tomac win round one at Anaheim, you're like, well, it's Eli Tomac. Every reason to think that's going to be repeatable. But what's odd is Tomac wasn't as dominant at a lot of the races this year as Anaheim 1 indicated he would be. And when you see Jett Lawrence or Hunter Lawrence win, and you see how well they ride, Jett on the 450, Hunter's already a proven commodity on the 250, tend to think, well, I mean, this could be the way it is all summer. But you always have to put that little eyebrow raise. I can't do it right now because I have a taco in my hand. Wait, hold on. Does that work? You have to raise an eyebrow and say, but it's only round one. It's only round one. So that's all we really have for the Sexton-Lawrence duel. We saw what happened on the track. Now, both guys were very respectful to each other on the podium, and in the post-race press conference, Jett said, look, I'm gonna have my days where I don't have it, and I'm probably just gonna say, Ferrandis and Chase, you guys can just take it. I'm probably gonna have my days where I'm on the ground because I'm a rookie. But you have to wonder how much is just being modest and also trying to stay humble for his own purposes of not getting too far ahead of himself, or how much is that probably is going to happen at some point. You know, even he is not trying to make any bold proclamations after round one. Round one's always nutty, but you can also see a pathway where this is repeatable. But I've been living my life by this credo now that we saw Tomac go out under shocking circumstances to say, don't count on anything. Don't count on anything. But it sure looks like this is something that could be repeated. And this dynamic of Sexton versus Lawrence, if it keeps up like this, is going to be fun to watch all year. Now, as for Dylan Ferrandis, I learned this morning from Jeremy Coker, the team manager over there at Star Yamaha. I thought this was a scenario of we see guys where they could maybe come back for Supercross, but they choose to just focus on motocross and come back super duper ready, and they're just logging motos for 2 months instead of getting onto a stadium track. That was not the case actually with Ferrandis. Jeremy Coker said, yeah, we are not as far as we would like to be. We have not had as much time as we would like to have had. Plus we got a whole new motorcycle to develop. Dylan never rode it outdoors really at all. Eli had done a little bit of testing, but it's not the same because they don't really ride the same and they don't want the same stuff. And Coker said, the hope today is top 5 podium at best. 3-3 for Ferrandis. That is exactly what they wanted. This is not Dylan Danger Zone Ferrandis of 2021, at least not yet. On the other hand, Cooper Webb, who is an even later entry into the series, when I talked to Cooper on Thursday, he said, I actually feel pretty good. And I don't think his expectations were that far down. And when our man Kellen Brower talked to him after the race, he said, oh, you got to be pumped to have been, running down Ferrandis, say, late in the first moto. And Webb actually wasn't that surprised that he's able to do that. So even though these guys were way back of the Sexton-Lawrence show up front, I still feel like it was encouraging in many ways. The big if, I think, for this team is going to be that motorcycle. They nailed it in Supercross, obviously. I mean, Tomac coulda, shoulda, woulda won the title. But I think there was a fear that that new Yamaha was going to be an improvement for Supercross and not as good outdoors, or is going to take more time to adapt to outdoors, probably the best way to put that. And Ferrandis confirmed that in the press conference. He said, for me, it was way better in Supercross, but it is taking a longer time to adapt in motocross. And he admitted he doesn't have a teammate to help share setups and secrets with, so that's something to keep in mind as well. So I think that's the real question. I think Ferrandis, the fitness and the speed can come back, but they got to get the bike dialed to where he was in 2021 to be the 2021 Ferrandis, because I think that Ferrandis can run with anyone. It all leads us back to this what does round one show us when it has a very clear outcome? Does it mean something? Now the 250s was all over the map. Hunter did win, but I mean, I'm gonna count probably a dozen guys who can say they had days that were okay or good, or they showed some signs. I think that was cool. So there was Jett and Lawrence and Ryan Dungey hanging out. Haven't seen that combo in a long time. So the 250s, Hunter wins, but even though it wasn't as dominant as say Jett was in the 450 class, and I can't even count the amount of riders that could say like, I did something positive today. Tom Vial had a good run, almost got a podium. RJ Hampshire won the first moto, went RJ, had 3 crashes to Moto 2, still came back and salvaged an overall podium. That was good. Ryder DeFrancisco and Chet Reynolds had good runs at times for Monster Kawasaki. That was a good run for them. Hayden Deegan, unbelievable. Can we really start looking at a rookie as a potential title contender? I don't think consistency is going to be a big problem. He rode awesome, he rode amazing. I guess we have to say this is a track he's ridden a lot before because he grew up in California, but it's not so similar on a national day. So I'm not so sure. And then other guys, let's see, Shimoda had a good day. The results didn't work out. He had crashes and stuff like that at the wrong time. Same thing with Tholand, who could have easily been on the podium, could have run for the win. That class is pretty dynamic. I don't think we're gonna read too much into anything of round one of that division, because there's 12 guys that probably left here today saying like, from what I just saw, I could win races. So that'll be interesting. But that's 250s. We're rolling to Hangtown. Thanks for watching the Weege Show. I've done like 9 hours of content today. And if I missed anything, watch all of our other shows, and including the post-race press conference to hear more from these riders. Thanks for watching, and thanks for Race Tech for backing our show.